On August 29, 1966, the Beatles walk onto the stage at Candlestick Park in San Francisco for what would become their final paid concert. After 4 years of nonstop touring and 1,400 shows, the band secretly agrees that this will be the final show. The band tells no one. George Harrison boards the plane afterwards and says to his bandmates, "That's it then, I'm not a Beatle anymore." The 1966 tour was a disaster from start to finish. In Memphis, a firecracker exploded on stage during If I Needed Someone. John Lennon recalled, "Somebody let off a firecracker while we were on stage. There had been threats to shoot us. The Klan were burning Beatle records outside. Somebody let off a firecracker and every one of us looked at each other because each thought it was the other that had been shot." Earlier that summer in the Philippines, the band accidentally snubbed First Lady Imelda Marcos. Airport officials beat their road crew and shoved the Beatles around the terminal in a terrifying departure. Death threats followed Lennon's "more popular than Jesus" comment throughout the American South, where 6 Ku Klux Klan members picketed in full robes outside the Memphis show. But the real problem was simpler. They couldn't hear themselves play. Stadium PAs designed for baseball announcements couldn't keep up with the screaming fans. Ringo Starr watched Paul McCartney's and John Lennon's backsides to figure out where they were in each song rhythmically. In 1966, the road was getting pretty boring, Starr admitted. "It was coming to the end for me. Nobody was listening at the shows. I was okay at the beginning, but we were playing really bad." The band had outgrown live performances. They spent 300 hours recording Revolver in the studio. And that album featured backwards guitars and tape loops and studio innovations that were just impossible to recreate on stage with the technology of 1966. "We're not very good performers, actually," McCartney told Teen Set magazine. "We're better in a recording studio where we can control things and work on it until it's right." At Candlestick Park, only 25,000 of 42,500 seats were sold. Knowing it was the end, Paul McCartney asked the band's press officer, Tony Barrow, to record the show on a handheld cassette recorder. The band played 11 songs in 33 minutes. Before the final number, Lennon and McCartney set up a camera on the amplifiers. Ringo left his drum kit and the four stood with their backs to the audience for a photo to document their final moments as a touring entity. The show ended with a raw version of Long Tall Sally. In a moment that became a metaphor for their touring career, the cassette tape Tony Barrow was recording actually ran out before the song finished, meaning the audio cuts off mid-scream. After the final note, they jumped into an armored car and drove straight to the airport. Paul McCartney reflected years later, "By Candlestick Park, it was like, don't tell anyone, but this is probably our last gig. We'd always tried to keep some fun in it for ourselves, but now even America was beginning to pall because of the conditions of touring and because we'd done it so many times. And their decision to stop touring changed music forever." After this, the Beatles retreated to Abbey Road Studios in November of 1966 and spent 700 hours recording Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. That album would not exist if the Beatles kept touring. "We spend more time on recording now because we prefer recording," said George Harrison. So the studio became their stage, and soon after, other artists followed. Everyone started focusing on albums as creative statements rather than on singles to promote a tour. The end of touring freed the Beatles to become recording artists rather than just performers. They pioneered the concept album, revolutionized studio techniques, and proved bands could thrive without constant roadwork. Their 1969 rooftop performance, 42 minutes atop Apple headquarters, became their true final show, intimate, unannounced, and exactly as they wanted it. But tell me, what do you think? Could the Beatles have maybe stuck around through the 70s if they had kept touring instead of going into the studio? It's an interesting question. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit like, subscribe, share, and until then, I'll see you in the next video.